Our second coach that we're going to induct tonight, Coach Karen Szewczyk. Now, if you can spell her last name, you win the $100 prize. No. Coach Szewczyk began her career at Lake Brantley in 1987, but at that time she was better known as Coach Crowan. She was in the early days of Lake Brantley High School. Coach Szewczyk came to Lake Brantley High School after completing her collegiate career at the University of Texas at San Antonio, better known as the Rowdy Roadrunners. Coach Szewczyk enjoyed a stellar career that was her collegiate career while playing basketball for University of Texas. But during her four-year stint, her passion for athletics emerged. To this day, Karen still holds several records for that team or that program. She's fourth all-time the assist leader and is still sixth all-time for the free throw shooting percentage. Karen, those are tremendous stats that when you leave, that's been over 35 years, right? So she still holds those. That shows you what kind of player she was. You know, those are great stats to have, but ladies and gentlemen, something had to motivate Karen to do that. So we go back to the early days. And that day was 1982. And that was a very difficult day for Coach Szewczyk. In fact, it was her junior year of high school. There was a name on that day that she had a lifelong lesson. That name was Dillard High School. You see, Karen's team was in the playoffs. She's a junior, and they lost to Dillard High School in the second round. Dillard High School beat Satellite by a score of 58-49. If you've ever been in a state championship series and you lost, you know the bitter taste that it has. But sometimes, just sometimes, a bitter loss can turn out to be the missing ingredient to a wonderful recipe. That recipe came back full circle again during Karen's senior year. 1983, well, she led her alma mater to a regional victory in the first round of the playoffs over Lake Howell High School by a score of 76-48. That's getting crushed. So I want you to remember, we're going to come back to Lake Howell High School in just a moment. What that did is set up the rematch for Dillard High School. And they would line up and play again. But this time, the outcome was different. For you see, Coach Szewczyk had unfinished business that she was going to take care of. According to some of the people I spoke to, that girl played lights out for Satellite High School, and they beat Dillard High School by a score of 70-52. Mind you, before that game, Dillard High School had a 58-win game streak at this point and a state title. They were the defending state champions. They beat Dillard High School that year, went on and played in the third round. Satellite High School went on to play Evans High School in the semifinals. They beat Evans by a score of 75-64, which gave them the berth to play for the state title. Satellite High School played Miami Northwestern. And if you remember the Miami Northwestern from 2006 football season, they're pretty good. Satellite High School crushed Miami Northwestern by a score of 74-46, and Karen Crowan earned her state title. And ladies and gentlemen, that's something we didn't know about her. Now, Coach, I asked Coach, I said, who do you give you credit for? She says her brother Randy was attributed a lot of her success, made her work hard, and improved her shooting skills. But you know what? There's someone who knows her a little bit better than I do. I'm going to ask one of her former players, Miss Lisa, who was one of our first inductees. We inducted her for the girls' basketball. She'd come up and just share a few moments about Coach Karen Szewczyk.
Hi. I don't speak in front of people, so this will be interesting. Thanks, Coach Schaefer, for inviting me. I'm excited to talk about Coach. I've embraced my age now in my 40s, so I'll go ahead and say that back in 1991, I moved here from North Carolina for my sophomore year of high school at Lake Brantley, and I already had a coach that was looking out for me. And I don't know if anybody's changed schools in high school, but it is very difficult and a little bit scary starting over. And Coach heard about me being here and came down to the gym and already arranged for me to meet the girls and shoot around and was already looking out for me, but more so already getting us preseason workout to be successful. I have to say she was my first favorite female coach. Her energy, positivity, and love for the game always kept us hyped. My 3 years at Brantley with her were amazing and almost ended with that state championship. But at least we did beat her alma mater, Satellite Beach. So we'll take that. To know Coach Szewczyk is to know a woman who does not stop. She sees the best in everyone and expects no less. She will fight for you, and she will also call you out on your BS. I feel like she's the epitome of the phrase, no excuses. While she will not accept excuses from her students or athletes, she herself lives by those same guidelines. Struck with an aggressive and rare breast cancer, she took it on full strength and is in full remission. She tackled it. No excuses. She had hip replacement surgery while still teaching and coaching. No excuses. Oh, and might as well get our other hip redone. Why not? No excuses. Now she is a bionic bad A, and I'm not going to cuss. She's an amazing family woman. She's raised two extraordinarily smart and talented athletes, and with her husband, Kevin. She's been an inspiration and positive influence in so many different lives. She's definitely deserving of this honor and induction. I'm proud to know her and have played for her. I love you bunches, Coach.
Awesome. Awesome, baby. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Those are, as a coach, hearing words from one of her former players, I know that means the world to Coach Szewczyk. So thank you. Karen also stated that her high school coach had a big influence, Pete Ballard, and during that reign after the state championship, we found out that Satellite High School, by way of USA Today's voting, finished in the top 10 in the nation in girls basketball programs that year. They were number 10, and they were the 10th best, well, I don't know if the 10th best team, but you were in the top 10, Karen, and that is a tremendous accomplishment. So thank you for giving us a reason to brag. At this time, I'm going to ask Coach if you'll come to the stage. Got it? She don't need no help. So I had Coach B.
Right.
I had asked Karen, I said, how did you get hired at Lake Brantley High School? Because if you get hired in those days, there's always a story, because I have one too, but we'll share that later. Jim Stanley, who was one of our assistant principals at the time, was going to interview Karen. Karen came in for an interview, and he recognized her because Jim Stanley's daughter 4 years earlier played at Lake Howell High School against her. And he says, wait a second, you're that girl from Satellite? And she said, yeah. No interview. Mr. Booth, I've got our teacher right here. He said, his quote was, we need more people like you because you destroyed Lake Howell just by yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, Karen will do her own recognition with her family, but it gives me great honor, ladies and gentlemen, that tonight we induct Karen Szewczyk into the Lake Brantley High School Athletic Hall of Fame.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Wow. You read that?
I know, right? Oh, yeah, I got the glasses. Thank you, Brian. That was an awesome introduction. And Lisa, I knew you were a special young lady, as soon as I saw you down there at the gym. And I really appreciate all your hard work and dedication to Lake Brantley and this community. It really means a lot. First, I'd like to thank my amazing husband, Kevin Szewczyk, for putting up with me for the last 32 years. You truly are my better half, and I would not be the person I am today without you. To my two beautiful children, Katie and Corey, thank you for always doing the right thing and pursuing your dreams. Katie is a third-year pharmacy school student at UF. Go Gators. And Corey just received his master's degree at Tusculum University and is pursuing an aviation school to go fly for a major airline. So hopefully that'll work out. I also would like to thank my brother Randy and his wife Gail for helping me celebrate this honor tonight. Randy is the sole person that made me the athlete I am today. He would take me out on the driveway at our house, and he would practice. He's 7 years older than me, and he would practice dribbling, and he would say, "I'll give you $1 if you steal the ball." So we're out there sweating, and finally, after about an hour, I steal it, and he goes, "Okay, double or nothing." And I went inside crying, and my mom said, "Don't play then, don't play." And he's like, "Okay, I'm done, I'm not playing." And I was like, "Okay, let's just keep going." So he really pushed me and supported me throughout my whole college career. He would fly in from Los Angeles and watch games, and then take all my players out for dinner and stuff like that. So I totally appreciate it. Also, Dave and Sandy Kintai are here tonight, and Danny Denneberg. These are my childhood friends that I grew up with. They were the football players that came and supported us since we were like 12 years old. And they continue to support me. And they came to the state championship. I mean, there were a lot of players, a lot of people at the state championship for a girls' game. And it was at Winter Park High School, and we filled the gym. There was probably 2,300 people there at the state championship game, and I totally appreciate that. Also, I'd like to thank Darvin Booth for taking a chance on me, knowing that I didn't have a degree in education. I had a degree in marketing, and he took a chance on me, and he said, "Okay, well, let's put you on, and let's see what you can do." Last but not least, I would like to thank Jerry Kelly and the nominating committee, Brian, and everybody, Melissa, whoever was on the nominating committee for this. It's such a great honor, and after 35 years, it's just an awesome way to end my career. She and I go way back when she was a coach at Lyman High School, and she would probably agree that we kind of beat them very badly. That was when Lisa and them came along, and then she came over to Brantley, and then we became friends. So we taught in the same department, and it was just an awesome way to stay together, I guess. I remember back in 1987, I was fresh out of college wanting to go into teaching and coaching. My mom had said, "Oh, no, you don't want to teach. There's no money in it," because my dad was a math teacher. So I'm like, well, okay. But I just had the passion. So I moved over to Orlando from Satellite Beach, and I went to the nearest high school, which was Lake Brantley. So I walked in pre-planning in August of 1987, and there was a group of coaches. I was in the lobby, and there was a group of coaches chatting, and they said, they were talking about they needed a coach. So I just blurted out, "Hey, you need a coach? I'll do it." And lo and behold, the one person that was in the group was Bob Peterson. He was the athletic director, and he came out and talked to me and said, "Okay, well, let's get you started." Because I said, "I don't have a degree, but I played basketball, and I could coach. I can do whatever you want. I could swim." And so he brought me into Jim Stanley, and that's when Jim remembered me. He goes, "I remember you. You were the one who my daughter was playing at Lake Howe, and you guys came in, and you crushed us." And he goes, "We need somebody like you here." And so he's like, "You're hired." He told me where to go and what to do, and go back to college and get some education degree. So I did. And then Bob Peterson and I got to know each other real well, and then he asked me if I wanted to be assistant athletic director, and I said, "Sure, let's do it." So that was where it really started for me. I got into the athletic part, all of it. I did start coaching with Cindy Frank in 1987. She couldn't be here tonight. And then in 1990, I was named the head coach for girls basketball. We were definitely rebuilding, and I'll never forget when Frank Gooch called me and said, "You have to come down to the gym." This was in 1991, and said, "There's this girl that just came in. She's 6'1", and I'm like, "I'm down there." I ran down to the gym, and there's Lisa, and she's sitting there shooting, and she's posting up and practicing, and I was just salivating, going, "She is the missing piece to our puzzle." And she was. And 2 years later after that, we ended up going to the regional finals. We ended up losing by 8 to Fort Walton Beach, who ended up winning the state championship. And it was the best experience I ever had. I mean, it was great. We did have 4 out of our 5 starters win scholarships, and Lisa got a full ride to Florida State. Okay, I'll give you that one. and then she went on to play professionally in Portugal for a few years. So that was an awesome thing. And then in 2015, another former player that played with Lisa, Kelly Treat, she wanted to come and coach with me. So I said, okay. So she came down, and she was in Jacksonville, and she was my JV coach. And she knew my philosophy. She knew how hard I worked the girls, and so I knew she would do a good job. And then in 2017, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she organized. I went through chemo for 5 months, and she and my husband helped me out. I missed a few games because I wasn't feeling well, and I had surgery. And then she organized this reunion of players in January after I had recovered, and all of these players from the 90s came, and we had this huge celebration, and it was just awesome. I mean, and that's really what it's all about, you know? My former coaches that I coached with, Robin Brackeen and Cindy Frank, they all came, and it was just, and the parents from the 90s, they were in the stands, and I'm thinking, what are they here for? I had no idea. They surprised me, and it was just an awesome celebration. And, you know, those are the kinds of memories that make what we do what we do. You know, it's like you don't coach or teach for the income. You do it for the outcome, honestly. And I'm so happy that I could touch so many lives throughout my career. And I just want to thank you and the committee for everything for tonight. And thank you again.
Yep. Jerry's going to give it to you. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Karen Szewczyk. Man, she's a fighter.